Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. This is the Kohen speaking. Okay, so the lecture will be up shortly. Not too long. I guess we still have on the other end we still have a few hours to go for the Sabbath to start, etc. So because you still have Friday evening in the US, but we are ahead of you. So the thing is this, that I wanted to just let you all know, those that are listening and those that may not know, that the Enoch, the Hanuch Sabbath, or Passover I should say, the Passover is around the corner, April the 3rd. Okay, so that will be April the 3rd, and I wanted to give you a quick brief on that. And April the 3rd is a Monday. It's a Monday. Okay, generally speaking, I'm not saying that if you haven't, that you're going to die for this or something like that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, generally speaking, when you are celebrating the Sabbath, the first day and the last day, they are counted as day off from your job. That is, provided you can get those days off. Let's suppose that if you can't get the days off, then, you're in a Gentile nation, you have to go to work. But the money you make on those 2 days are considered monies that belong to God. Now this is where you, and probably many other people, are struggling and suffering, because what you do is you go to work on a general Sabbath. Like let's say if you worked on a Saturday, you go to work, you earn the money, and you use it up for yourself. You go to work on a festival Sabbath, which is a high holy day. You go to work, and you just take the money and you use it up. You see, that is considered money for God. Those days are God's days. They are considered God's money. Means that money should go to the priesthood. But if you ate it, then you technically, I'm not saying you're a thief, but technically that is considered theft from God. Okay? Now, you may think, hey, I don't care, it's not going to do me no harm, I can do that. Sure, go ahead, do that. But let me tell you the repercussions, the punishment that will come down upon you, the person who's doing that. And again, I'm not trying to put you up against a wall. I'm just giving you the do's and the don'ts. The rest is really up to you, because it's your life, and you pay for everything in this life. You pay for your sins, your violations of Torah, and your as I call it, the misdemeanors. You pay for everything in this life. Nothing is free. You don't get away with it. Nothing. You get away with nothing. So what tends to happen for somebody who doesn't know, because there are people generally who don't know. So this information is for those people who genuinely don't know that they are doing that, inadvertently perhaps, or ignorantly, or perhaps they lack knowledge. So in that case, what happens is that the money that you earn, now how do you divide that money, and how do you give to God what belongs to God, and how do you keep what belongs to you? So you'd have to calculate for those days that you worked, and it was a high holy day or a Sabbath day, you'd have to work out what was your that day's salary before taxes. Okay, you'd have to work that salary out. Let's say, for argument's sake, I'm just by the by, and I'm just making a basic. It doesn't have to be exactly like that. Let's say you were earning $15 an hour, and you worked 8 hours on a particular high holy day. That's $120. But Uncle Sam comes in, and Uncle Sam deducts $30 away from you, because, not $30, sorry, deducts 30% from you, because Uncle Sam says, you know what, that belongs to me. So they take away $36, 30%, which goes into your salaries and other bits and pieces they cut from your salaries. So Uncle Sam comes in and deducts $36. That leaves $84. Of course, you never saw the $120, because if the $120 came to you flat, that would belong to the priesthood. That would belong to your Kohen in the gate. Let's say that in this instance, because Uncle Sam got to the money first, you're in a Gentile nation, and they deducted your taxes and everything, and they only gave you for that Sabbath that you worked, they gave you $84, or whatever it is. You can work that out. I'm working out generally 30% tax. It might be slightly less, or it might be slightly more in different cases of how much you earn. So they deduct that, and you're left with $84. Now, because of lack of knowledge, you didn't know. You didn't know that the first day of Passover was a no-work day, and the last day of Passover was a no-work day. And you didn't know that weekly Sabbath, on the Saturday was a no-work day. So you just worked generally on those days, and you just kept the money. But then what happened, you got a roof repair turned up, you got a tire went flat, you got your battery went flat in your car, something else happened, somebody fell ill. And so that money that really belonged to God, because you used it without knowledge, let's use a better word, without knowledge, you used it not because you're a thief or you're trying to, take that money from God, because you didn't know. So in that case, what happens, that money never stays with you. Now, instead of blessing you, instead of you getting blessed with that money, it actually goes from you. It's like leaking, left, right, and center in different areas. Could be for your health, could be for other reasons. It goes away. So at the end of the month or the end of 2 months, you're wondering, I'm living hand to mouth. What's going on? Why isn't God blessing me? Because, one, you may not be paying any tithe, which a lot of people don't. They think that the money after Caesar's collection belongs to them, and they have a right to it. By the way, we have a right to nothing in this world. Everything is given by the good hand of God. It's a blessing. Whether you believe it or not, it is a blessing. And it's not because you worked somewhere 40 hours a week and you got paid. No, it's because God is being benevolent to you and giving you that money, because your employer could turn around and say, hey, you worked 40 hours, you're fired, I'm not giving you your money. Go to court or whatever. You get stuck. So everything you get is given by God. All the good things you enjoy in this world are given by God. Yes, we can debate about it, whether whether it was your hard work or whether it was God's mercy, that kindness, that brought that job to you and the money as well. So $84 may seem like a lot for some people, but it's not, because when you give that money into the priesthood, when you give that money to your priest, I'm not talking about your pastor, to your priest, to your Kohen. When you give that money to your Kohen, what is the recompense of that? The recompense of that is God sees that. God sees that faithfulness in you. And because of that faithfulness, God will now reward you for that money. You put that money, consider that money being an investment to God. You invested it with God. That's a great, that's a faith thing. Not many people have that kind of faith. That's a faith thing that you've done. So once you did the faith thing, God will be kind back to you. God will start to multiply that amount. And He will send you that amount multiplied. That's how God works. Because you honored His Sabbaths, because of lack of, your employer wouldn't give you time off, you weren't able to enjoy the full Sabbath. You didn't know. Before, you used up the money elsewhere, and money just went left, right, center. But now that you know, you saved that amount after tax, and you said, this belongs to God, and you gave it to God. When you gave it to God, it now is going to come back. Money is energy. When you give it to God, it is now God's job to return that money to you with a multiplier. Okay? God will multiply that money, and then God will send you that money back. I'm not saying He's going to multiply it 1,000 times, and I'm not saying He's going to multiply it 10,000 times, because that would be lying. I'm not going to say that. Whatever multiplier God chooses, this is what we believe. This is what we know. That God will use a multiplier, and He will multiply that money, and He will return it to you that same year, one way or another. It will come back to you. It will never be void. It will always come back to you. God will return that money with bonuses. Let's put it this way. So that's what we call prosperity, wealth. This is why you see that people who are the generous givers, they are usually getting generous businesses, and they get a lot of return business. Because they are generous givers, they get in return they get multiplication of their businesses. And those are the people that start to become rich as a result of that, because they're generous givers, so therefore they get benefit. Even Gentiles know that if they give 10% to good causes, they may give it to charities and other places, even they know that they will get it back in one way or another. So that's what they end up doing. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that's how, people who don't know the Torah or the laws, they may do it another way, and then still they still get rewarded for that. Even Gentiles, they get rewarded for that. So if you're part of the house of Israel and you are not tithing, then that's the first strike against you. If you're not tithing, you're not paying sadaqah, it's a strike against you. Secondly, if you're working Sabbaths, high holy days, and you're not giving that back to God, second strike against you. So please understand that for your benefit, for your prosperity, for your blessings, make yourself straight. Don't make yourself crooked, because it's not very clever. When you make yourself crooked, God will equally return that favor to you the same way. He will put difficulties in your path. He will make you lose that money one way or another. You will lose it. Please remember that. But if you're a good giver, God will bring that money to you in one way or another with the bonuses on top. You may get a better job, you may get better salary, you may get bonuses, you may get money coming out of investments will start to multiply. Things like that will happen, and you will get compensated for your faithfulness, for your loyalty, and not just that, for you knowing that you're not taking away what belongs to God. So now coming back to the Passover. Passover is April 3rd. You may ask, how do you conduct the Passover? It's very simple. It's not hard. For the Passover week, you do not eat leaven. Okay? No bread, cakes, pastries, anything that has leaven. And I'm talking about leaven here. I'm talking about baking powder. That is not considered leaven, by the way. So, remove leaven from your homes. Give it to somebody else. And then, do not eat pastries and cakes for a week. Just check the labels that you don't eat something by mistake. If you do, you'd have to contact me and pay a sadaqah offering towards to cover your violation. So please try not to do that if you can. And read the labels before you do, because sometimes people can make mistakes because they're so used to eating those things every day. They may just go to Dunkin' Donuts and get a donut and then realize later, oh, I just consumed something with yeast in it. So avoid the yeast play and you'll do well. And then other than that, Passover, you don't need to slaughter a whole lamb as a token. It's just a token. Some people just get a bone, a shank bone, and they put it in their tray. Other people, what they do, they get some meat, maybe a pound, a kilo, maybe whatever they can consume. It's got to be consumable meat. So they get meat and they put it, they grill it and they put it in front of them as a token, and the family just eats that together at the same time, and they don't leave any leftovers. No leftovers. If there's any leftovers, it's got to be burnt on your stove and then buried before sunrise. Okay, remember that. And then other than that, make sure there's no pastries, cakes, things like that in the meal. But you can have all sorts of other items. People do eggs, people do corn, people do rice, people do other things, but not cakes and pastries. So as long as you adhere to the common things which are okay, considered, so you're allowed to take beef or take lamb, and you're allowed to add fillers to it. Like you can add potatoes, you can add carrots, you can add peas. You can do it a traditional Western meal. It doesn't need to be an Eastern meal. Eastern people do it according to their ways, and Western people according to their ways. So it's very simple. You have a meal. You give thanks to God. You read the story in the book of Exodus with the 10 plagues, and then how Israel departed. You read that story, and you simply tell that story to your children if you have children. And other than that, you give thanks to God and you enjoy your time with the family. That's all you got to do. Nothing difficult, okay? And the most important days are the first day and the last day, okay? In between, you're allowed to go to work and do whatever you need to. Those of you who want to tithe and want to send in your donations and offerings, you can go to the website www.abrahamic-faith.info or to forever-israel.com. There's a donate now button there. You can mark your donation and say it's tithe, Passover, whatever it is. And also, when you come to the festivals, you never come empty-handed before God. You always give a offering to God on that holy day for all festivals that we have, all 7 festivals in the year. And if you do that, then you're doing great. I mean, you can send the money via PayPal or you can send the money Cash App. My account ID in Cash App is $SIMALT, and for PayPal, the link is online, so I'll leave you with that. So with that, I'm going to say, have a wonderful, wonderful high holy day ahead, April 3, and may you be blessed and may you be safeguarded by the Master in heaven. Shabbat Shalom.